I get urges to purge everything, and I mean everything. Everyone has their vices, 30 pairs of shoes, which all hold their own special place in their heart, vintage video game collections, beautiful dishware we either love to use daily or more so display because, let's be honest, it's art. Well, unfortunately, I'm an artist, and more so, I'm an artist without a category. I'm not even trying to say that in a cool, edgy, you can't put me in a box type of way, but more in an endless fear of commitment and niching because everything is interesting and any new medium could unlock some magical part of my brain that I didn't even know was there type of way. I've been collecting art supplies for as long as I can remember. Some people started giving me old sewing supplies when I was learning how to sew and was confident I was going to be a fashion designer someday. I collected every receipt, every wrapper, every item of trash I made as a human when I knew I was going to be an upcycler installation artist who was here to blow everyone's mind on how much waste we generate. The examples and phases and changing interests go on, and now I have a room dedicated to these interests, businesses, hobbies, etc. It's crazy that some people even pay me because I've held on to these, so I can officially say I'm an artist. Sometimes I want to get rid of all of it and challenge the idea of who I am as an artist. I would say this started coming out during peak lockdown with COVID, and I really wanted to challenge the idea of what do I work with? What do I align with? What draws me to it? But on a broader end, maybe like what is an artist when you remove all of their tools? And the definition of an artist, it seems to be originally, was a person who produces paintings or drawings as a profession or hobby. Of course, similar like attached definitions include a person who practices any of various creative crafts, such as sculptor, novelist, poet, or filmmaker, or someone who's just particularly skilled at a task or occupation. So, I personally do not believe someone would lose their creativity or even identity as an artist with no tools, but what would they do with this energy? Where would they what would this build into? Would we need to go out and buy new things right away? Would we, I don't even know, create a whole new form of documenting creative thoughts, of making new things? That's what interests me. I constantly see people answering questions online about the tools they use. It becomes a popular question when a creative person says, ask me anything, and that little white box pops up on Instagram stories. There's always a, what are your must-have tools? What are the best beginner tools? What's the best version of this tool you've tried? Some people hate these questions, most likely because it's highly repetitive. But I would say Austin Kleon, author of books like Steal Like an Artist, Show Your Work, and Keep Going, all 3 different books, bring up some great points. In his article, The Tools Matter and the Tools Don't Matter, it's about not wanting to have to discuss the tools and materials with random people constantly. Quoting from the article, very rarely do we cut writers and artists a break for maybe being a little too tired of a constant barrage of the same question over and over for not necessarily wanting to take on the role of a teacher, a job which in my opinion is a very serious responsibility. Some people love to teach, whether in a formal school setting or just sharing information online. They want to share everything they've stumbled upon, how they came to an amazing creative discovery or broke through even deeper into their creative subconscious. But some people just want to make things. I guess, do people ask Leonardo da Vinci specifically what paint he used to paint the Mona Lisa? I mean, that's definitely an overgeneralization because most of the items then were definitely handmade, most likely by him. And, we didn't have the endless amount of options we have today when you walk into a craft store or, get a Michaels ad for the 100th time in our email. But you know what I'm saying. I personally believe heavily in creative exploration. I would say a lot of creatives would most likely agree with that. It's about experimenting, learning what you hate before you learn what you love, or more specifically, possibly learning what the world hates before learning what the world loves, if you're going for, art sales, creative sales, whatnot. I also, though, understand wanting a starting point, wanting to have some information so you're not wading through this giant sea of ads telling you you need these tools to be successful, or just trying to decide what might make your life a little bit easier. Also taken from Kleon's blog post, I swear I Google enunciated this, so I'm trying my best. The Swiss psychologist Jean Piaget once said, every time you teach a child something, you forever rob them of the chance to learn it for themselves. And I feel like that really sums up the importance of creative exploration, just learning things on your own. We all move out for the first time and you're like, oh no, have I ever had to change a light bulb? And I'm sure a lot of us have, but you know what I'm talking about. I guess in the end, the answer is that there is no answer. Some artists prize themselves in mastering new tools, upgrading to the best in the current industry, etc. Some artists will scream from the rooftops that you should be allowed to do whatever you want with Crayola crayons and be able to attach the value to it that you perceive as fair, not what the tools dictate to be fair. Morris Katz was an I would say impressionist style painter who worked solely with a palette knife and toilet paper to make his paintings. He was an artist focused on specifically the speed of his work and the quantity of his work, and just wanted to put more and more out there in the world. This quick method of working allowed him to make over 280,000 paintings in his life, and I did Google or watched a video on how many rolls of toilet paper he went through, and it was a horrifying number of toilet paper rolls. Not totally trying to shame, but like, could we have used a rag? Regardless. Today, scrolling through social media, I see people having to defend either decision of maybe having to drop a pretty penny on new materials, or those who refuse to buy more than just simply what's available to them. Some people attach value to a piece based on the tools that were used to make them. Other people believe all it takes is the creative thought and effort itself to attach the value. In the end, I guess there will never be a correct answer, because maybe we just shouldn't buy art we don't want without needing to nitpick why we won't be buying it. Sometimes it seems the value of art has become more of a discussion than the subject and experience of the art itself. Could this be because more and more people are trying to make a living off of creative endeavors, and that requires maybe more than just being a family friend who offers to take a photo for your Christmas card for, I don't know, maybe a bottle of wine? There's a lot to unpack here, and there will always be conflicting ideas and opinions, but in the end, I would say just experiment, focus on your process, focus on your work, what feels good, what doesn't feel good, what works, what doesn't, etc. Let yourself think outside the box, because there will never be one correct way to do anything, but also don't let people shame you for being interested in tools and trying to master new tools. So I guess in the end, Austin Kleon's article honestly states it perfectly. The tools matter, and the tools don't matter.